Travel update, travel news anyway. One of the questions I get quite often in emails and comments is about any travel restrictions in the Philippines and about the e-travel registration, whether that is still required. And I'll give you some information off official Philippine airline site, and I will give you some information that I hear from expats who are flying in and out of the Philippines, what their experience has been. Anyway, going to their site, they've got some interesting press releases if you're interested in that type of thing, and a lot of information on their site about where they fly to. And anyway, let's get down here and let's see. Travel, important travel reminders, I think is where I want to go. Important travel reminders, restrictions of your destination on the PAL travel rules page. And then if your plans have changed, visit the passenger option information. Every airline has their own rules about if you cancel your flight, you get a refund. Can you use that ticket later? Can you rebook it? Every airline has their own deals about that. So on some flights, if international, you have to cancel that flight maybe 4 days before you fly. Other flights, you only have to cancel it 24 hours before you flight. Sometimes you can get a refund. Sometimes you can get credits you can use in the next 60 days, I think, on domestic flights, and maybe 2 years on international flights, for instance. But anyway, you need to check in with whatever airline you are using and see what their rules are. Go down here to travel rules and requirements. It's a simple little form to fill out, and let's put in here LAX, X, Los Angeles, and destination. Let's just put in Manila because many of you are not flying to Cebu. So you may go through Manila Airport. Clark is an option, or Manila. Vaccination status if you're unvaccinated. And let's face it, these vaccinations they last maybe the effectiveness is 3, 4, 5 months maybe. And a girl at the hospital I was at recently when I broke my shoulder, she asked me if I was vaccinated. I said no, and I asked her, the nurse, when was your last vaccination? Well, over a year ago. I said, well, you're not vaccinated. And she got a little huffy about that. But anyway, foreign nationals with visa-free countries, which means you don't need to have a visa before you fly in here. You will be arriving, and when you land, they will stamp your passport with a 30-day free visa, basically. And so that's what I'll put in there, and we'll search. You are allowed to travel to this destination if you meet the requirements below. And so unvaccinated foreign nationals from visa-free countries. That includes over 100 countries, but not all. I think Israel, there's a couple other ones that have special. India, maybe, I think, have special requirements. Anyway, proof of vaccination is not required. Facility-based quarantine is not required. Home quarantine, not required. But a self-monitor for 7 days is highly encouraged. So you're going to come here for 2 weeks and you're going to sit in your hotel room for 7 days? I doubt it. Government requirements. This is the e-travel registration. Now, basically, we used to do this when I would fly in. The airlines would hand you, I think I used to get 3 different sheets of paper to fill out before we landed. One was a health declaration. Have you been ill? Have you been to any countries that have yellow fever or such and such? Uh, Questions like that. Well, now basically they're doing it online. It's e-travel registration. All passengers are required to register on e-travel within 72 hours prior to departure. And I read a little later up to 3 hours before your flight, you can still register, I believe. And just goes through and asks you for the vaccination status, where you're going, what your address is going to be, I think, and just put a hotel in there, whatever, just so you have something there. And then as far as they will email you. You need an email address. They'll email you a QR code, and I've had responses from quite a few foreigners traveling in and out of the Philippines. More than half have told me that nobody ever asked them for that QR code when they landed or any time since then. And I've had a couple people say that they were asked for it. So it's just going to depend upon your own personal experience. Medical certification, not required. And also, I have not had on this ETravel registration, that QR code, I have not had anybody tell me that any hotel or resort has asked them for that QR code as well. Doesn't mean it won't happen. Anyway, yeah, medical certification, not required. Mobile application on your phone, not required. Passport validity required. Your passport should be good for at least another 6 months at the time of arrival in the Philippines. Let me bounce back here to the mobile application. During the emergency, 3 years ago when it started, something like that, not only countries, but even states and provinces here, even cities, Davao had their own QR code mobile application on their phone. So you need to have a smartphone basically, or they'd make you fill out a paper form. And it was a way of confirming your vaccination status and where you were traveling, and hotels would probably ask you for that. Scan it in and try to track your travels. Those are not required. Now, there is one island in the Philippines just north of Mindanao called Camiguin Island, and I don't know if they still have requirements. They were one of the last places I heard, even a couple months ago, I think, they were still requiring perhaps vaccination status information, that type of thing. I'm not sure of all the details, but they might just send you back on get on the ferry and head you back the other direction. So, every LGU, local government unit here in the Philippines, can set their own rules. I think pretty much everybody is open for travel. Now, I have heard that I think CDO, Cagayan de Oro, city on the north end of Mindanao, has instituted masks again. And I don't know if it's detailed just in public places, public transportation, what all the details are, and that can change. I've read that there are some schools here that have gone back to asking the students to wear masks. I also saw an article the other day that there are over 20 colleges in the U.S. still requiring vaccination status information. So it's kind of a sad state of affairs because there is no discussion of the science uh, in so many countries. They're just making up the rules as they go along. And anyway, get on with it here. COVID-19 test not required. Travel insurance is not required. Return ticket required. Now this is important, and there's some controversy about this. And here again, I'll tell you what I hear from other expats. Now, Philippine Airlines, this is their site. They say strictly within 30 days back to the port of origin, basically a return ticket, or to the next port of destination. For instance, if you're going to Taiwan or Vietnam or some other country other than back to your home country, you need to have a ticket out of the Philippines within 30 days of arriving. An entry exemption document must be secured if you are extending beyond 30 days. Now, I've had expats tell me that have flown on other airlines that they had a return ticket or an ongoing ticket 60 days later or 90 days or 6 months later, and they didn't have any issues getting on the plane. So check with the airlines that you are flying with. There again, if one airline says you aren't going to fly, you're probably not going to fly. It's important. Now, this return ticket, there are people who you can buy a cheap ongoing ticket. And I did that when I came here. I bought, I think, a ticket to Bali or someplace like that, $50. And it was what you call a throwaway ticket. And I never used it. Now, there are some airlines they will charge you for not flying. So you may have I don't know, 20-25% charge. You may not get your full refund back on your credit card if you booked it through your credit card, for instance. There are firms that will sell you these throwaway ongoing type tickets. Be a little wary. I've heard of people having good luck with that and not as good luck with that. You can see where it could be easily scammed. You set up a website and say, yeah, we're going to sell these ongoing tickets, and they send you something that looks like a ticket, and you show it at the airline, and they say, no, this is not legit, my friend. You need to go to the counter and buy another ticket. So just be careful with those types of things. So here is the site, etravel.gov.ph. Simple enough. And ETravel, register Philippine passport holder, or most of you, foreign passport holder. Traveler type, put that in. Arriving at the Philippines. And now I understand that Filipino citizens have to fill this out if they're departing. What I've heard at this point in time, subject to change, of course, as happens often here, only arriving foreign international travelers and Filipinos. Everyone arriving is supposed to fill out this e-travel. So everybody coming from other countries, coming into the Philippines, are supposed to fill this out. The date you're filling it out, I guess. Your email address, re-enter your email address, and then you have read and you continue. Now, let's say you do this a couple days in advance, and you think, well, I made a mistake, and you want to edit the registration. You log back into etravel.gov, and you edit your registration. Have a previous registration? Click here if you are traveling again, because apparently you need to fill one of these out each time you travel. I don't think that e-travel thing is going away anytime soon, so don't let that hold you up if you want to travel. The Philippines has a lot to offer, and really encourage you to visit the Philippines and or retire here. So many good things going on. Anyway, wherever you are, wherever you're going, safe travels to you all, and we'll see you next time.